Hey everybody, welcome back to another Pickle Madness video. Today we have both the 1126 Alpha Pro Power series and the Selkirk Era, both the elongated and the wide body, and we're going to be comparing the differences and the similarities between these two paddles. So there had been a lot of talk about these two paddles, well, and also the Selkirk Era and the original 11Six24 Power series, because it turns out that the cores in these paddles are nearly identical. And in fact, really the only difference between the Alpha Pro Power series and the Selkirk Era paddles is the layup. So the Alpha Pro Power series has a fiberglass carbon fiber layup. So there's a fiberglass layer that connects to the core, and then on top of that fiberglass layer there are two carbon fiber layers, whereas the Selkirk Era series has a carbon fiber layer attached to the core, a fiberglass layer in the middle, and then another carbon fiber layer on top, just like the original 11Six24 Power series did. So like I said, the core is basically identical. They even both have that carbon fiber reinforcement strips on the side for, I guess, better weight distribution and a larger sweet spot size.
So another interesting point for both these paddles is the Selkirk has quite a large weight range from 7.9 to 8.4 ounces. So you could get it between any one of those weights. Whereas the Alpha series only comes, we weighed each one of them, they only come in 8.1 ounces.
Yeah, at least that's ours. We only have 3 of them that we were testing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were all 8.1, which is really consistent across the board. If you end up with a 7.9 ounce paddle, that's a really big difference from an 8.4, especially if you're somebody who likes to add weight to your paddles, or you're just weight sensitive and you really like, maybe you like really light paddles, or maybe you want a paddle that has a heavier stock weight. So there's no way to tell what you're gonna get with the Era series. You kind of just have to weigh it when it gets to you, which I think is just good to know. Again, if you're somebody who is really conscious about how heavy your paddle is and its stock weight.
So if you're more interested in varying the weight, you'd say the Selkirk would be a better option because you can...
Yeah, well, I'd say if you just don't care as much about how your paddle is gonna weigh, then the Selkirk is fine in that regard. Whereas maybe if you're more sensitive to that and you want something, you know, it's like 8 ounces, 8.1 ounces, then in that case, the 11Six24 might be a better choice. Although because they're not widely released yet, we don't know yet like how much variation there's going to be, but we do know though for the Selkirk Era there is a large weight variation between the paddles for both the elongated and the wide body. And so again, the biggest difference between the Era and the Alpha Power series is going to be in dwell time and how the ball feels off the surface of the paddle. And because the Alpha Pro has the fiberglass and then 2 carbon fiber layers on top, it feels a little bit softer than the Era, which has the fiberglass in the middle. So on the Era, the fiberglass layer is a little bit closer to the actual ball hitting surface, which is that top layer of carbon fiber. So it's gonna feel a little bit stiffer. I think another advantage actually that the 11Six24 has over the Selkirk in this case, because of that different arrangement of the carbon fiber fiberglass layup, is that you get more dwell time with those 2 layers of carbon fiber on top of the fiberglass. You don't get as much pop and you don't get as fast of a reaction off the surface. So that's kind of what you're giving up in exchange for dwell time. Whereas the Era, the ball's gonna come off the surface a little bit faster and with a little bit more pop, because that fiberglass layer is there in the middle and not on the bottom like with the 11Six24.
All right, so the next thing to compare is the shape. Now when we're talking about shape, the Pegasus versus the wide body is the most comparable. So if you look at the Pegasus, it's a little more V-shape on the edge of the paddle here, whereas the wide body is just straight square, so it's flush on both sides. If you look at those side by side,
there's really almost no difference.
Yeah,
it's a very, very slight variation.
You can barely see the Pegasus come over the edge of the wide body there. So essentially the shape is the same. I think the Selkirk didn't want to exactly copy 1126 on the shape, but it is very similar and it offers similar, it plays similar.
Yeah, they're almost the exact same paddle in a way versus the colors. And again, in this case, the difference is the layup. And if you look at the elongated Era shape versus the Huarache X, which is the elongated shape in the 11Six24 Alpha series, it's almost the exact same paddle again. So you have basically the same handle length. I mean, I'm putting them here together. There's really no difference in the handle length. The Era looks to be just slightly, like maybe like half a centimeter long. You can see the blue kind of peeking out the top here, but it's really like not much of a difference at all. So the 11.624, the Huarache is like slightly wider and a little bit shorter, whereas the Era is just a tiny bit narrower. Again, it might just be like half a centimeter more narrow and just a little bit longer, but it's almost the exact same thing.
So the important thing to note is that the 11.624 comes in a vapor model as well, and this is kind of a hybrid model between the Pegasus and the Huarache.
Yeah.
The Selkirk doesn't actually offer a similar paddle to this. If you do want kind of that hybrid model that's good for all court, you'd have to go with the 11.624 or the Selkirk for that.
Yeah, because Selkirk they just do not have that shape in the Era series at all. And I guess probably the closest thing that they would have is maybe the Epic shape, but it's still not quite the same. It's not, I don't think it's as good, it's not as versatile as the Vapor shape. But so the Era literally does not even have a middle ground hybrid paddle. So like Joel said, if you do want that hybrid shape, that's the only, and you're going between these two series of paddles, then you have to go with the Vapor because there is no option for the Selkirk. Now, when it comes to power, between these two series, I think the power is pretty much identical in terms of how far the ball is actually launched off the paddle. It feels different because of the layup differences, with the 11.624 feeling a little bit softer and just feels like a little more, it's got a little more dwell time. The Era definitely feels more like a punchier paddle. It's got about the same power as the 11.624 does, but it just feels different. And when it comes to control, I think that would you say that the 11.624 has a little bit more control than the Era?
I would say so, yeah. Especially up at the kitchen, it's got a lot more forgiving sweet spot. So if you don't always hit the sweet spot, that'll help you to still control it, even if you do miss the sweet spot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think, the Era still has a really good sweet spot.
Right.
I just think that because of that, you have more pop with it, like there's more punch to it. You don't get as much time with the ball on the surface, so you can't control it as much. Yeah. But I do think, so the Era does have better pop if you're looking for more pop. Yeah, the Era definitely has more of a punch to it.
Right.
And when it comes to spin, they're basically the same almost. I'd say there's really not much of a difference.
Yeah, I couldn't notice any noticeable difference when I was playing. Really, I thought the shape might affect the control a little bit more, if anything. The wide body Selkirk has more of a traditional shape, whereas as I said, the 11.624 is a little more V-shape. Really didn't notice a lot playing it. I think they're very similar paddles in their construction. I wouldn't weigh those too heavily when you're considering which one you're going to buy. Yeah, and actually, I think even the carbon fiber, just the feel of it feels literally almost the exact same. I think maybe the 11.624 is just like slightly grittier. Yeah, but they really feel like almost the exact same. It's a very small difference. Yeah, if you blindfolded me and I had to play with both of them, I probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. That's how similar they are. They both offer great control, and they're good solid paddles in their respective lines. Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's just there's small differences with the shapes. I'd say if you like a more rounded shape, the 11.624 is probably the way to go. Whereas if you like kind of more of that flat top shape, not as much of a hybrid feel, then the Selkirk is probably the better option in that case. And they're both $200 MSRP. So there's really, again, the price is the same. It's almost like they're almost clones. Like it's extremely similar. Personally, I actually like the Selkirk Era elongated better than the Huarache, but I like the Vapor better than both of these. All right, guys, thank you for watching our comparison of the Selkirk Era series versus the brand new 11.624 Alpha Pro Power series. Make sure if you guys buy both of these paddles and try them out, let us know which one you like better. Let us know if you could notice any differences that we couldn't notice. Other than that, be sure to like, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you guys next time. See ya.